Hi there, welcome to the Teeny Tinkers channel. I make ball jointed doll and craft related content. Today I'm making eyes. I have a ton of tiny 8 to 12 millimeter eyes and bases left over, but my dolls needing 12 to 16 millimeters have been wearing some not so pretty plastic eyes for a bit, and I figured it was time to change that. I 3D printed these bases earlier using the base I sculpted in another video. This video. These bases have a spot for the pupil, but to be honest, I think I need to edit the eye to have a larger well for the pupil. These eyes are really perfect if you like a small iris though, but I tend to favor the larger ones. I have already given these a rough sand and wash, so it's already time to paint. I add the pupils first. I tried using pencil, but it wasn't as large or as dark as I'd like it to be. So I switched to Posca paint markers. This is where the larger eye well would come in really handy since there is a little bit of blowout happening here. After this, I'm starting in with the chalk pastels, the same ones I used for face-ups. I put down a color base first. I like to use varying colors either by putting one color in the center, like yellow, and another on the outside, like blue. I can also split the eye into color slices, kind of like a pie chart, if that makes sense. You can also use acrylics for this, but I like the soft look the pastels give. Once I'm done painting all the eyes with pastels, I load them up on this piece of cardboard and take them to a well-ventilated area to spray with MSC. I used to put the resin directly on top of the paint, but it always lifted it or dulled it, and I finally figured out that using a bit of sealant fixes that right up. After waiting about 20 minutes for the MSC to cure, it is time for that second layer. The first thing I do is use my watercolor brush pens to circle the lens. I pick a color that coordinates with the color of the eye. Some of the lines I do thicker, like a circle lens, while some are super thin and more on the realistic side. I like to have all kinds of eyes in my collection, so I do a little bit of both. Once all the lenses are circled, I add another layer of pastels into the mix to give it a little more saturated of an end result. Don't worry that they look so light right now, we add more depth in the final layer. Once again, it is time for Mr. Super Clear. I do the same thing as last time and bring them back for the final layer. This is how I add depth and bring out the sculpted details of the lens. Usually, I use my gray watercolor brush pen for this, but I thought, hey, let's use actual watercolor this time. To be honest, the result was not as good as I thought, and I would stick to the pen in the future. I find the pen just hits those nooks and crannies just a little bit better than the watercolor and doesn't give this kind of blowout effect we're seeing. However, this time I used my Koi watercolor palette in a very, very desaturated watery gray color. I had these colors already ready to go, which was kind of a bonus. I brushed the watery paint into the eye, letting it settle into the little crevices of the eye. As mentioned, the pen works better for this, as the Koi watercolors ended up a little bit mottled. Still totally usable, just needed a little bit more work. So to fix this and blend it out, I went over it with some pens and pastels and added details saturating the colors and highlighting the grooves. The last step before the final seal, I love a little bit of sparkle. For some, I use a bright blue or purple glitter. I have a whole bunch of these glitters in a ton of colors, and honestly, I love them so much. This glitter that I'm using has varying flake sizes, which I think makes for a really interesting and pretty eye without it looking too overdone. I also have some powders which add a gorgeous gleam of color and shine. These are my personal favorite. I use them for everything from nail art to eyes to face-ups. They are my favorite things ever. Alright, all set. For the final seal, I waited 30 minutes just to make sure I'm not going to have any weird chemical reactions. Just taking a break because it is time for Doll of the Week, and this week's Doll of the Week is from Danielle the Doll Girl. She posted a picture of her hollow full set as it came in. Now, when I took pictures of the hollow full set, I took pictures of it on the Wisp color, which is the light peach, but I have to say, I think this is the move, Jones / Willow, that color. This is the look. I love it. California Girl, she looks so cute. Thank you so much for sharing, Danielle the Doll Girl. Alright, so if you want your doll featured in Doll of the Week, don't forget to tag #TeenyTinkersDolls over on Instagram. I would love to see it. You can also just tag me at Teeny Tinkers and I'll see it that way as well. Alright, back to the video. Time to add the resin. I use a clear UV resin to complete the eyes. I accidentally ruined the bottle top it came with, so instead I'm using an old paintbrush to apply the resin. Weirdly, it had way less bubbles doing it this way, so I guess it all works out. I also use a lighter to pop any bubbles I do happen to see. I should get a longer one though. I used to have one, but this short little one definitely meant I burned my fingertips a little bit. Finally, it's time to cure the resin. I use a UV flashlight to do this really quickly and easily. I leave it over top the set of eyes about 5 to 10 centimeters away for about 45 seconds. This ensures the top layer is hard and not sticky. Sticky resin is uncured resin. A quick note to make sure that you keep your paintbrush or your bottle tip well away from this flashlight because it will get cured and be unusable, which is how I ruined the bottle top in the first place. Once cured with the flashlight, I move the eyes back onto the cardboard and bring them to my curing station. I put them in for 3 minutes to ensure they are fully cured through. And voila! I am happy with how most of them came out, and I can't wait to put some of these into some dolls. I have Clover and Poppy samples coming this spring, so I'm sure that at least some of these will have someone to wear them really, really soon. Which ones do you like best, and what kind of materials do you use to make eyes? If you're already subscribed to this channel, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're new here and you like the content, I hope you consider subscribing. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!